When is the last time that you heard a serious discussion or any discussion at all on television about the unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality that we're currently experiencing? Today in America, three people, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg, combined own more wealth than the bottom half of American society, 170 million people. Think that's an important issue? Yeah, I do. I think that's maybe the most important issue that we face from an economic perspective. But we don't talk about it. You're not going to see that on TV. You can watch TV 24 hours a day. It is not going to be discussed because the people who own the networks don't want serious discussion about the immorality and the economic injustice that takes place when so few own so much and so few have so little. And I'll tell you something else that we don't talk about, but we do in these rallies. And that is, in the richest country in the history of the world, which we are today, 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. And working class Americans, as a result of the stress they experience daily, just trying to survive, trying to put food on the table, working class people have a 7-year shorter life expectancy than the wealthy. In other words, being working class in America is a death sentence. Do you hear anybody talking about that horror? I don't. And we do. And that's what I talk about when we go on this Fighting Oligarchy tour. We talk about the reality that in America today, unbelievably, over 20% of senior citizens in this country are trying to survive on less than $15,000 a year. Think about it. 80, 90 years of age, trying to get by on less than $15,000 a year. We talk about the fact that some 800,000 people in America are homeless, and 20 million Americans, including many of you, are spending 40, 50% of your limited incomes on housing. We talk about the fact that in America we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth, all taking place in the richest country in the history of the world. Do you hear folks talking about it? They don't. And it's important that we talk about it so that people have an understanding of what is going on and why it is going on. Right now, as I think all of you know, progressives understand, our current campaign finance system is absolutely corrupt. As a result of Citizens United, billionaires are able to spend unlimited amounts of money in the political process. So Elon Musk spends $270 million to elect Trump as president, and surprise, surprise, he gets the most important position in government. It only cost him $270 million. That's not bad. But it's not just Musk and it's not just Trump. It is billionaires in the Democratic Party who threaten candidates from all over the country that if they speak to the real issues facing working people, they're not going to get the campaign financing that they need. So we have a corrupt campaign finance system that is hardly talked about at all, but it is destroying American democracy. Well, furthermore, I hope everybody understands that we are far, far behind many other wealthy nations in terms of the kind of social safety net that their citizens enjoy. We are the only major country on earth, for example, not to provide health care to all as a human right. Right now, what you're seeing is Republicans wanting to cut Medicaid, which will be devastating to the whole healthcare system, all aspects of the healthcare system. That's what they want to do. And Democrats are saying, well, we want to protect the Affordable Care Act. That's great. Well, guess what? We're going to fight any cuts to Medicaid, but nobody I know thinks the Affordable Care Act is great. The healthcare costs in America are now twice as much per capita as almost every other nation on earth. We have 85 million Americans who are uninsured and underinsured. We have over 500,000 Americans who go bankrupt due to medically related debt. Over 60,000 people die every year because they cannot afford to go to a doctor. And our life expectancy is lower than any other major country on earth. That is not a healthcare system that is working. So our view, and I think the view of a majority of Americans, is we got to junk the current healthcare system. We've got to move toward Medicare for all. Healthcare is a human right. And we bring forth that agenda and we explain what it means to the American people. When you can go to a doctor whenever you want, you don't have to take out your wallet. You don't have to take out your credit card. I think that will be a significant step forward in terms of advancing good public policy, and it works politically as well. Short term, we need to expand Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing. Very, very important for senior citizens. We have got to cut the cost of prescription drugs in half. How absurd is it that in some cases we are paying 10 times more for the same exact drugs as the people in other countries are paying? And while Trump and Musk are trying to decimate the Social Security Administration, making it harder for people to access the Social Security that they paid into, we have got to expand Social Security by lifting the cap on taxable income. You do that, you can extend the life, the solvency of Social Security for decades and greatly increase the benefits by at least $2,400 that senior citizens in this country receive. So when seniors are living on $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a year, our job is not just not to cut Social Security, it's to expand Social Security benefits. And when we're talking about the needs of seniors, we have got to rethink our whole pension system in this country. You know, it will shock some of the younger people to know that there was a time, not so many decades ago, when if you work for a large company, the expectation was, and millions of people did receive, a defined benefit pension. That means you knew, as part of the benefits that you received, you knew that when you retired, you would have a pension there for yourself in addition to Social Security. But over the last many years, corporations have cut those back, and as a result, we have a lot of seniors who are really struggling. It goes without saying that we've got to raise the minimum wage in this country, which is now a starvation wage of $7.25 an hour to at least $17 an hour. And I'm happy to tell you that last week, as part of this budget resolution process, we got every Democrat to support raising the minimum wage to $17 an hour. We got one Republican. So we're making progress, but we've got to win this fight. Millions of people are working for starvation wages, and that is not acceptable. And when we talk about the progressive agenda, you and I know that workers in unions are able to negotiate decent wages, decent benefits, decent working conditions in a far stronger way than non-union workers are able to do. And that's why we've got to pass the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join in unions. There's a lot of other stuff that's out there. Right now, you know, we have a president who thinks that climate change is a hoax. Well, that is a very, very dangerous situation, because as all of you know, climate change is not a hoax. Climate change is an existential threat to the planet, and the United States has got to lead the world. We got to work with China, not against China, in cutting carbon emissions and saving the planet. So, a lot of stuff that is out there that I think people want to hear. Not good enough just to go after Trump every day. We got to do that. But we have got to provide people with a vision for the future, which says that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, all of our people deserve a decent standard of living. And this, my friends, this is not utopian thinking. You know, this is, oh my goodness, we can do all these things. Many of these things, many of these ideas, progressive ideas that I've been talking about, guess what? They exist in other countries around the world. In other countries around the world, college is free. Medical school is free. In many other countries that don't have the level of income and wealth inequality that we have, because they're rich are paying their fair share of taxes. So how do we go from here to there? Well, one of the things that we are doing, and it's part of the fighting oligarchy effort, is to organize at the grassroots level. And with your help, we are hiring organizers all over this country. I've just, in the last few days, talked to organizers and hundreds of people at the grassroots level in Iowa and in Nebraska. And we're mobilizing these people to go out, knock on doors, to hold town meetings, to make sure that their members of Congress do not vote for this disastrous legislation of tax breaks for the rich and cuts to Medicaid. And ultimately, as I have believed for my entire life, and what history tells us is that real change never takes place from the top on down. It's always the bottom on up. It's when ordinary people stand up and fight for justice. And right now, more than any other time in modern history, that is exactly what we need to do. We need to build a strong grassroots progressive movement. We need a political revolution in this country where working people stand up and fight for their rights. So that is kind of a thumbnail sketch of what we are doing. And as I mentioned, we're going to be in a number of states in the coming days. We're going to be in California, Utah, Idaho, and Montana. I hope if you live in those areas that you'll come and visit us. And if not, we'll probably come to a community near where you live at some time in the next few months. So once again, thank you all for what you're doing. A critical moment in American history. Let's stand up. Let's fight back. We have the majority on our side. We can take on the oligarchs. We can take on Trump. We can beat them if we stand together. Let's do it. Thank you very much.